Hello and thank you for joining us here at the First Alert Desk. I'm Maria Moreau. It is National Retirement Security Week, and before you close off of this live stream, you're going to want to know about this. We're talking about the basics of retirement, and joining us, of course, is Justin Neal. He's a wealth management advisor with Northwestern Mutual. Justin, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks. It's an honor to be with you. Hopefully we'll contribute something to people's financial thinking here on Retirement Security Week.
I love the conversation around this for our Money Talk segment because retirement is something that affects everybody, both young, whether you're already retired. This is a conversation that can apply to really everyone. And I wanted to start off with saying I am a young person. I don't know anything about retirement past what I just spent an hour learning about just to talk to you and hopefully keep up with this conversation. So break it all down for me. What is the ideal retirement age? And really, what is retirement?
I think one important place to start, Maria, is that we believe that your behavior and your beliefs about money and your goals are far more important than your product knowledge or your timing or how you're going to get involved in official and boring retirement planning. And so we like to start our conversations by asking families and individuals, when I say the word retirement, does that mean anything to you? What's the value of that word in your life? How would you define it? Because I found over the years that there's a diverse number of ways that you can approach and think about that word retirement. And some of them are the old, get a gold watch and go fishing. I find that to be the vast minority of people these days, and particularly with younger clients and I would say innovative generations, people are more interested in framing it as independence or framing it as financial freedom from the drudgery of work. So that's a very fun and interesting way to think through it. And what we want to understand it from an advisor's perspective is, how do you define success? And then we can help put the building blocks and add all the nerd stuff, which is what you ideally are either learning from the internet or learning from someone in my field. That's what you're learning from us, and we'll help assemble all the boring stuff, taxes and investment accounts and all those financial instruments you need in order to support you having a high probability of your definition of success.
And I think, especially this conversation nowadays, talking about the younger generation feeling 25% on average less confident in their financial plan, their retirement plan, it's really put into perspective just the way we view retirement today. I think the most common Google search around retirement is how to have a successful retirement, which is really the golden question, and there's no right or wrong way to do it. But tell me some of the basics of what you can do now. Let's say you're just entering your first job, or you've been employed for some time, but you really haven't considered planning for your retirement seriously. What are the first steps that somebody can take?
Great topic, and we do want to make it something pretty simple. I like the idea of writing down a picture, write down your version, your story of what you would like life to look like in 10 years, and then write a little paragraph of your 20 years, and then 30, and then 40. And that way, as you start writing those words down, you're writing into reality your conviction and your focus, so that when it becomes hard, the next step is going to be do all the dirty work and the hard work, you have that strong conviction around, if I do this, this is why I'm choosing to forego some enjoyment or some consumption today in order to acquire that which I want down in the future. So once you've got that roadmap, that visualization, that written document that describes and expresses, this is exciting in my family, this energizes me, then we say, okay, now what are the types of assets that are going to maximize our outputs, minimize our taxes, but not make me crazy or have a panic attack when I open up my accounts online and look at them? And so some simple things that are really powerful, particularly for career starters, would be make sure that in your qualified plan through your employer, you're giving future you a pay raise. So that's kind of a fun way to say it, but all I'm referencing is your employer match. So your employer says, I'll put in some of your pay if you'll put in some of your pay. Well, that's not money that benefits current me, but future me, who's going to have all the same hopes and dreams and wants and desires and love going out to eat and doing all the cool, fun stuff that I want to do. Future me is going to look back at current me and say, boy, I'm really glad you gave me a pay raise. because you took some of your money in current me and you put it forward for future me, but you did it by getting your employer to subsidize or to support that work. So that, I think, is a really simple way to increase your compensation for future me. A second one that's very important is to look at Roth IRA options to the extent they're appropriate for you given your income and your savings capacity. But that's a tool that the federal government has put in place that lets us save money now when potentially and hopefully you're in a lower tax bracket, and then it gives you tax advantages for later in life when you're in a higher tax bracket. That's a really powerful second component to good basic retirement planning. And if I snuck a third one in, I find a lot of younger people today have access to high deductible healthcare plans. And those come with a really interesting account called a health savings account, or an HSA. That tool is incredibly powerful to set a few dollars aside today on a tax-advantaged basis and grow them for a long time, tax deferred, and then ultimately use them for healthcare costs as you get a little older. And healthcare costs, as we look around at people as they age, it gets expensive. And so it's nice to have a couple bucks that you can get to without a big tax cost in order to support yourself in older ages. So those would be three really simple building blocks that once you write down your compelling story, here's what's going to motivate me. Every time my paycheck's a little lower and I can't quite do all the fun stuff I was doing, here's why I'm doing it. Then you go to the how do I get it done? And that's where an advisor can personalize your planning, but you can do a lot of that yourself with give your future self a pay raise through your 401k, write money or consider putting money into that Roth IRA or Roth 401k, and then third, think through, is an HSA plan appropriate and does it work for me?
I like the way you put that. Cashing in a paycheck, saving for your future self is a very great way to put it when you look at the word retirement and feel overwhelmed by it. Something else I really wanted to touch upon, are there any wrong ways to save for retirement?
You know, I tend to believe that in the financial world, nothing was created to rip people off or to do damage to them. What I do believe is that there are ways to market tools or ways to misapply financial options that can be harmful or damaging or just corrosive to your plan. And so that it's not that there's something that I could just go, hey, this is categorically a bad deal, but it's very contextual. And that's one of the challenges with when you go out and you read either popular literature on financial planning or retirement planning, or if you're just self-educating, you may fall into some of the marketing tools or marketing techniques that draw you into a product that could be very appropriate, or an investment strategy that could be extremely appropriate for some people, but it may not apply to you. And so you want to be very judicious with how you think through and you analyze, what do I want to put in my set of tools that I'm making use of? And that's where either using some robust research for yourself or finding a financial partner or someone that can help really personalize and think about your unique trade-offs and risk profile and how do you think about risk, what makes you crazy, what do you get excited about, and then assemble the right set of solutions. So that's what I'd say. There's not necessarily something that's really just evil or wrong or bad categorically, but there are a lot of things that get misapplied.
We're talking to Justin Neal. He's a wealth management advisor for Northwestern Mutual. I want to throw a couple scenarios at you, and hopefully you can help put into perspective around this retirement topic. Let's say that I have been in the workforce, I put into my 401k, I match, but I haven't really done more than that. Is it too late for me to really hone down and start thinking about my retirement if I'm so close to the retirement age?
No. Any dollar that you can think about what's the job description for this dollar, and you can assign it work to do in the future, gives you the opportunity to put that dollar into something that's incrementally clever or smart, that's going to be supportive of future you. Because remember, there's that concept that if you paid attention in finance class, and most people don't, and it's frankly really boring, so that's where it was great for me because I have a career, because I kind of like all that nerdy stuff. But when I say the phrase time value of money, that means that over time, money can grow in its value. And if you have a little bit of time, you can find ways to put that dollar aside to make it work for you, whether that's 1 year or whether that's 25 years. Now, the job description for those dollars may be different, but they are still incredibly valuable when we think about trying to assemble a solution for someone. I can think of one of the people I talked to this week who's nearing retirement, and we were talking about how the dollars that he sets aside today will support he and his partner early in their retirement. But building up that very safe, secure buffer is important in his situation. Now, again, that's not universally applicable, but for him, that was really comforting to think I get to do this now, and it's going to make a difference for me right when I step into retirement. And with markets crazy the way they are, it's important to put every dollar to work for you.
And you touched upon something I wanted to really ask you about. Retirement is often treated like an individual plan, something that you have to plan out and examine alone, but you're talking about retirement and possibly enjoying that with your family and a partner. What are some conversations that couples and family members can have if they're trying to plan their retirement together?
Really important. And I'll pick on one particular area that our younger clients have been surprised by in some ways, and that is long-term care and healthcare costs for parents. And so that's a place that aging generations may have to look back, or younger generations may look forward to parents and grandparents and say, I want them to have more choices, and I may need to contribute into that space. And that's certainly an area or a topic that is increasing in cost as modern medicine does a great job keeping us alive, but staying alive can get really expensive, and it's hard. There's no easy answers with that. I was on the phone yesterday with a client who's moved his parents into their basement in order to be physically available and be able to be financially supportive and care for them. So having that conversation around healthcare, long-term care, what's your plan if something goes awry into retirement? And including other generations, or if you're the younger generation, asking for permission to participate in those discussions, hopefully will be well received as I'm trying to help, I'm trying to be supportive of your goals and objectives, rather than just, hey, you're trying to be invasive. So hopefully that's received well, but that would be one topic that we see. It's just pervasive across our clients and families we work with because it affects so many generations. I want to make sure I finish on something fun, though. So that would be legacy thinking. And sometimes when I say legacy, people go, oh, I don't have zillions of dollars. I'm not going to leave all that money. And I go, legacy is not about wealth financially. It's about wealth as a human. And so positioning yourself to be a contributor into your family as you have financial capacity to step away from work, that frees your time up. And you get to spend time with people you love and pass on the legacy of values, the way that you think, maybe support childcare, maybe be involved as a volunteer in your kids' or grandkids' lives, in the organizations that matter to them. We talk to families a lot about how powerful that is. And I love one of our multi-generational family clients. The grandmother was a CFO and retired successfully about 6 years ago. And when I talk to her, I love hearing how she is just pouring her life into her grandchildren. And those grandchildren are growing up with abnormal lessons. I mean, she's kind of a unique lady. She was a CFO. She's really bright. She's teaching character lessons, dollars and cents. Every hour her grandchildren get with her, it's like an MBA stacked on top of awesome time with grandma, right? And so that's a powerful legacy that she's instilling in her grandchildren, whether she leaves them a dollar or not.
I really like the way you put that. We were actually speaking with wealth management advisor Dr. Nicole Garner-Scott last week about the unique financial challenges that women will face in their lifetime. And one of those challenges that came up was retirement. Women statistically outlive their male partners. We know that to be true. So let's talk to women for a moment about their retirement plan. When they're talking to a financial planner or maybe to their employer or really just planning this out on their own. Of course, we want them to talk to their partner when they're making that decision together, but also look out for themselves in that possible future where they are going to, unfortunately and likely, outlive their partner.
Well, my favorite story about that is we were illustrating a retirement model when we were walking through the timeline, and we got to the point where we projected that the man was going to pass away based on life expectancy, and his wife was going to outlive him. And I said, unfortunately, this is the point where you get hyphenated, and I kind of pointed at him, and she said, oh, most women call that the happiest years of their lives. And he kind of stopped and laughed and looked at her, and she looked back. It was just really kind of a fun way to acknowledge, hey, this is a hard thing sometimes, but it is really important. One thing that as I was with a family, or with a lady who we work with now, and she lost her husband, and so she's now in charge of her family's financial situation and is still able to be supportive of some of her children, and very involved with them. But walking with her over these last 2 years of education for herself on how do I now do some of the things that I was not doing, it has intensified her appreciation of having a planning partnership, which we built with her family over years. And in the time that they were married and both alive, it was a smart division of labor. But thinking back, she has commented, I wish I'd known a little bit more about how things worked or understand these terms a little bit better. Now, again, good news for their family. They built a lot of partnership with us, so she had trust and confidence in us. So when we were at the kitchen table in the weeks after her husband died, we could go, look, here's the plan we'd laid out. You're going to be fine. Like, you don't have to sell assets. You don't have to move in with your kids. You can still execute on the plan. And that was very comforting for her. But she's certainly said, boy, I need a lot of education. And we've sent her lots of books and articles, and she's doing a lot of self-learning, and she's taking to it quickly. But I'd say that's something that would be valuable, is make sure that both partners are pretty educated in understanding the terminology and the framework of the plan and the language of finance and retirement.
And that really is the biggest obstacle when we talk about retirement, is being educated and knowing what tools are in your toolbox. What are some good online resources or people that can help with retirement planning, or just helping you get a better understanding of how to plan for your retirement or get ready for that?
Yeah, well, the great news is that the Northwestern Mutual website has lots of resources and calculators on it. You can go to www.n as in Northwestern and M as in mutual, so nm.com, and click through there, and there's lots of self-tools, self-calculator tools you can use. Those can be really helpful as you're trying to educate around calculations. You can run a search if you want to get a little more tactical and nerdy. Our chief investment strategist is a guy named Brent Schutte, and last name is Schutte. Brent's really bright and smart and is on lots of webcasts and does lots of interviews and is a prolific writer. So if you want more tactical information on investing and markets, he can be really helpful there. Those are two good resources. The most important thing is finding, I believe, someone or something that can help you define for yourself and be that third-party supporter of what is success for you, and then help hold you accountable. Not in a negative way, like I'm your dad and I'm telling you got to clean up your room or do your homework. That's terrible. But hold up the mirror of accountability and say, this is who you said you want to be. This is future you, and this is the person you said you want to be. Now, here's the mirror. This is the person you're becoming. Are you comfortable with that? And let you make that determination. I frame it with our clients that my job is to be kind of the outsourced CFO, COO for your family. Your job is to be the CEO. I work for you. You're the boss. And we try to remind families of that, and particularly people who have not been in positions of authority or power. We want them to know that in this relationship, they are always in charge. And if they're not comfortable, they need to stop us and help us educate them on the thing that they're uncomfortable with. You're the boss. You're the CEO. You're in charge of your money. Our job is to come in and say, hey, Madam CEO, what do you want your future to look like? And here are the things we think that will get you there. Now, here's a few paths and avenues. You're going to come to some conclusion about what's best for you. And our job is just to execute the heck out of it in order to support your journey and your experience being aligned with the way you want life to look financially.
Well, Justin, you have changed one young person's mind and got them serious about retirement, so congratulations. Of course, this full conversation and more resources that Justin just mentioned are going to be on our website, atlantanewsfirst.com. Make sure you check it out and have a fantastic National Security Retirement Week. Thank you.